Hello and welcome to English 0365 Weekly Notes, Week 4. Last week we focused mainly on main ideas. This week we're starting with supporting details and most importantly how to organize them. Now, what are supporting details? Think about it for a second. So when you think about supporting details, you think about all the meat that the reading has. So you have the main idea, you have your topic sentence, and in order to make it interesting, you have to add some substance. So in order to understand the reading better, or when you're writing, there's ways to organize these ones. One of them could be outlining them. Another way could be making a map of them. Another way could be making a summary of them, and so on. So that is what we're going to concentrate on today. So the first one that we're going to take a look at is outlines. You probably studied outlines in other classes, but mainly you want to organize outlines using Roman numerals for your main topics or main ideas. So you have number 1 here, and then you have number 2. That's to divide the main topics. And then you use capital letters for the major supporting details, and then numbers for the minor supporting details. So you have number 1, main topic 1, then A, and then 1 and 2 for minor supporting details, and then you have another major supporting details followed by 1 minor in this case, and then change topic. Let me show you an example. Go to page 105 in your book, and I'm going to show you what an outline of that text looks like. Okay, so here's an example. This text is about TV violence, and we have the first main topic, which is that TV violence has negative effects. So we have marked that with Roman numeral 1. And then you have the first major detail, frequent TV viewers are more fearful and suspicious. And then we have a minor detail, they protect themselves with locks, guns, and dogs. So you see here that I've used the capital letter A for the major detail, number 1 for the minor detail. Look at the next one. Major detail is with the capital letter B, less upset about real life violence, and then a minor detail with the number 1. And you can look at C is the same thing. So this is what an outline would like. Now, why would you want to make an outline when you're writing? When you go back to studying, having the outline just helps you to go faster through the text instead of having to read the whole thing over again. Now I would like you to go to your book to page 109, and we're going to outline that one. So go there. Now I have put here a skeleton copy, and you can find this under outline, paraphrasing, summarizing, and mapping. So you will have that also in your resources. But what I would like you to do is go there. I have helped you with the main idea and some of the minor and major details, but why don't you complete that outline just for practice? The next technique we're going to look at briefly is mapping. And if you go here in your D2L, here we have the table of contents, and you have mapping right there. So if we open mapping, you are going to see that it's giving you different versions of how to do it. So I'm not going to open it right now, but if you go ahead and open that one, it's going to give you different ways of map. That is really useful, especially if you are a visual learner, because you can see right in front of you what the text looks like, and you take all the extra words and you just keep the main thing. So really useful tool. The next point that I want to review, and it's something that you started doing last week, you did it with outliers, but I feel some of you were a little bit confused with this, is paraphrasing. So when you paraphrase, you reword a particular point. It's not necessarily shorter. Some of you made it a lot shorter. It's not shorter, it's the same information, but it uses your own style and your own words. So that is paraphrasing. Now, what's the difference between paraphrasing and summarizing? Okay, let's look at summarizing next. When you summarize, you include only the main ideas and major supporting details. You do not need to include any minor details. When you were summarizing the chapter for outliers last week, some of you were telling me little details that were not necessary. If you need to include a definition, you can do it. You can get it from the text. That's mainly when you're doing some academic kind of text summarizing. But keep it short. Now let's look at some examples here. Okay, let's look at this PowerPoint in a very short way. So again, a summary is just a condensed version, a very short version. A paraphrase is not shorter, it's just rewording. And then what are some of the steps to write a summary or paraphrase? Now, this is important. You're going to read your source carefully several times if necessary. Now, one key point that I think is really good, put your book away, put the text away, because you get really tempted to look at it and copy word by word if you have the page open. So I would say turn the page over and then try to write it using your own words. And the one thing about summaries and paraphrases, you do not include your own ideas or commentary or your opinion. This is in a summary is just what the text says. And then the other important thing is that you need to document sources. So when you paraphrase, your writing must reflect your own style, not the author's, but do not leave any important information out. And another thing is using the present tense when you're referring to the author. Here is an example of paraphrasing and summarizing. So here is the original passage, and I'm going to have you read it, but make sure that you read it carefully. It's about the overuse of quotations and taking notes. So give yourself a minute to read it. Once you've read it, then look at the paraphrase that I have done for you. So in research papers, students often quote excessively, failing to keep quoted materials down to a desirable level. Since the problem usually originates during note-taking, it's essential to minimize the material recorded verbatim. Verbatim means word by word, and then I have listed the source. So go back to the original and go to the paraphrase and see that the information is exactly the same. I have not left any information out. Then here is a summary. Students should take just a few notes in direct quotation from sources to help minimize the amount of quoted material in a research paper. Look at the difference between the length in this one and in this one. So it's quite different. And then the plagiarized version, you have students often use too many direct quotations when they take notes, resulting in too many of them in the final research paper. If you go to the original, students frequently overuse direct quotations, so all that we did is change one or two words. So that would be considered plagiarism, and in academic writing, you're not allowed to do that. So you can go back and forth and look at this one again. This one is also listed in your list of resources on the main page of your course. One other important point I want to remind you this week is about annotations. Several of you sent me your annotations, and some of them were quite good, but then maybe half of the class did not send me any annotations. We're going to be doing annotations in the final exam, in the midterm, and in some of the quizzes. And more importantly than that, annotations are important because when you're taking regular classes, when you are having a conversation with your text, which is basically what annotation is, it's going to be a lot easier for you to remember what you are studying. So again, if you go to the main page here of the book, you're going to find, sorry, not of the book, of D2L, you're going to find a note here that says annotating a text, annotation example. Let's open that. And you can see what this annotated page looks like. This is from Personal Conflict Styles from your book. You're going to see that the first part I did not highlight, but I wrote the examples of what might bother you, ways to handle this, to handle conflict. And because they were talking about different ways, I highlighted, but I also numbered it. So there's 5 different ways, and I numbered it. And then each number coincides with the number here. So then here for the first sentence, again I highlighted and I wrote DEF, which is definition, and then circle a word that I believe is important. So you see that there's words that are circled, words that are highlighted, there is numbers, there's definitions, there is main idea, there's a question mark here that says true, and then best way, examples of this, and then at the end I have a comment, must be a better way to handle conflict. So you can see that there is a conversation with the text. Not everything is highlighted because it doesn't have to be. If you highlight everything, then you're not going to know what's really important and what's not. But here I just want you to do another annotation this coming week. You don't have to send it to me next week unless you want to, or if you did not send me one last week, please do so this week so I can see how you're doing. Finally, I just want to give you some reminders. This week you have the first quiz, number 1, and you can take it between Friday and Monday at 5 o'clock. So Friday at 8 a.m. to Monday at 5 p.m. You don't have to go anywhere to take it. It's going to be right in your computer. You have 75 minutes to take it, and it includes chapters 1, 2, and 3. So make sure you do it within the allotted time. Once the 75 minutes are gone, the system is going to close, so you won't have any more time to do it. Make sure you're in a quiet place without disruptions. That would help. Keep completing the mastery tests online. Not everyone is doing this. Remember, that helps you to practice the skills each week, so it's kind of important that you do it. And then outliers, check the sample answers and the chapter reviews. You're doing quite well, and I'm quite happy with all the participation that we're having in the board. Let me show you where you find the sample answers, and I put those at the end of the week. Like today, I put sample answers for last week and a chapter summary. So the chapter summary will help you in case you have something you didn't understand. It's going to give you a little synopsis of what the chapter was about. Let me show you. So we're going to, on the main page, we're going to click on content again. Okay, so this is week 4 then. So we have all the assignments for week 4 on the right side. And if you look on the left side, you're going to see a study help, and this is where you have answers for last week chapters. So if you click on study help, you can check the answers if you did other mastery tests. And then if you look at this one, review and summary of outliers, if you click there, you're going to see that you have outliers chapter summary and chapter answers. These are not perfect answers. These are answers from some of you, and I kind of copied several so you can get an idea of what a good answer is. So basically that's all that I have for you this week. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to come over, give me a call, or just send me an email in D2L. Have a great week.